the mothers. You gotta love the mothers. And you gotta hug the ones who bring us joy and love. It's the middle with the moms and it's your day.
The reason why I started this podcast is because I'm a mom of two that are very close together. They're 2 and 1.
Mhm.
And I just have struggled with postpartum depression, anxiety, but I also run lots of businesses on the side. And I just have gone through a lot of crazy stuff. So I want everyone who is a mom to like not feel alone, because also with what's kind of going on in the world, country, like it's just like a lot going on. So I just want everyone to not feel alone. And I believe every single mom has a story. And I want to like help educate people on stuff. Like my next one that's coming out tomorrow is a pelvic floor therapist, which I'm so passionate about. But just in like a child discipline person, I actually listened to your podcast yesterday on the way to a newborn shoot, and it was the one about transitions with
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it helped me honestly so much. Like just hearing that stuff, like you might think you know it, but just hearing it, like it helps ingrain in your brain, and then like you actually practice it with your kids. But anyway, so I was like, who can I get on here that's, also a mom, but like not just in my group? And that would be, I found you like on my follow. I was like, who do I follow? And I typed in like mom on my follow, or like who I follow, and that came up. So I was like, okay, I got to see if this is a real person. I don't even know. And then I found your podcast. So thank you for doing this for me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yes. So from what I learned from your episode yesterday is you have a 9-year-old son, right?
I do. Yes, Jack.
Yes, Jack. So cute. So like when did you start your Instagram profile? What made you want to start that? Like right after he was born, or what made you start it?
So, I'll date back even before I became a mom. I used to work at Nickelodeon in New York
Are you
City.
serious?
I
Oh
am,
my
yeah.
gosh.
And so I was there for 5 years and I loved that job. But when Jack was born, I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay or go. And so I had asked them, like, can I go part-time? And they said, no, it's sort of all or nothing. And I was like, okay, well, then it's nothing. Although I loved the company and I loved the people that I worked with, I just knew that like I wanted to be with Jack also. So I left Nickelodeon and I stayed home with him full-time for 3 years. And then he was 3, and like when you have toddlers, like there's just so much funny material and so much stuff that's like going on at that point that
Yeah.
like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start an Instagram page. And now keep in mind, this was 2016,
Wow.
so it's a while ago.
Yeah.
And it was like right in the very early stages of Instagram, and I had said to my friends and family, I'm going to start an Instagram page for parents, for moms, and I'm going to like make jokes and stuff like that. And they were like, you're going to what? And like it was so early on, like like early on the upswing of that, is that like literally my friends and family were like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to do it anyway. So I started my account. It was actually called NYC Mom Probs when I started, because I was living in New York City, and the problems that we have in New York City are different from other,
Yeah.
moms. And so then in 2017, we moved out of New York City, and I was like, oh my God, I don't have like the same city problems anymore. And so I changed the name to Modern Mom Probs, and then the account just took off from there, because guess what?
Yeah.
Everyone has modern mom problems.
Oh yeah.
And so the account just took off from there. So I've been doing it for 5 years now, which is amazing. And I've seen really like the growth of Instagram, and what my opinion is like when it was in its heyday,
Yeah.
and all of those kinds of things. Obviously, this is all like, pre-TikTok and all of that kind of stuff. So I've been doing this for a while. And then like from my account, I had so many other awesome opportunities. I got a book deal, so I wrote a book. It's called Modern Mom Probs, a survival guide for 21st century mothers.
Oh my God.
So I got that. And then I recently started something called the Modern Mom Style Box, which is like a rental clothing subscription for busy moms. So a lot of things happened because of my Instagram account. And then I started the podcast, and that's actually my newest baby. That was something that we just started a couple months ago.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, you are a badass mom.
Thank you.
Thank you for starting that. When Instagram started, I thought it was like just a photo editing app. So I was like uploading so much stuff and just like editing it. And then my friend was like, that's not a photo editor. Everyone can see that. I was like, oh.
That's hilarious. I love that. I
know.
love
So,
that. When I first started Instagram, no joke, it was like two things. It was photos of like people's lunches and their lattes, or maybe like vacation pictures, or
uh-huh.
memes. That was it.
Right.
It was like memes, or it was like beautiful photographs. And that was the whole thing. And no one really even had like, now we have like the tough conversations about motherhood and honest things that actually 5-6 years ago, people were not talking about on
No.
Instagram. They weren't even talking about on Facebook. And so I'm happy that we have the platform to be able to talk about those things now.
Yes, like there's so many pros and cons to it, but the pros, I've learned a lot about being a mom. I mean, from simple, I mean, not simple, but like from things like breastfeeding. Like I follow a breastfeeding account and it helped me so much because my first go around with my first, was not successful. And just looking at what they were posting and helped me with that. But I've learned so much on there. Obviously, there's cons of stuff. But like I've talked before with on my podcast with some guests, like, when people post like the perfect life and stuff like that, you just can't like let that get to you. You cannot,
Yes.
you have to know that, maybe they are going through hard stuff, but they don't want to be vulnerable about it. And that's okay. If we want to, we can. And so when I really started having, bad postpartum depression. So I went to work 7 days after I gave birth to my daughter, which I wouldn't recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think me being separated from her, the stress of so much work, because I'm a wedding videographer. So I had a wedding like every weekend while I was pregnant. And
Oh
like
my
I did like
goodness.
45 weddings that year. It was just, I would not recommend it, but like I honestly like had to live.
Yeah,
but
right. Sure.
but I don't know if we have another one, I'm gonna take a year off. You best believe it. But
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the stress of that too, like on your body, it's just so much. It takes a toll.
it really does. And I just felt so much stress from like not every bride was like, hounding me, but like literally when she was like 12 days old, I had a bride who was like, "Hey, do you know my wedding video is gonna be ready?" I'm like, "Oh," and like I'm the type of girl that can't like just read it and then be like, "Okay, like I'll get it to you, in 3 to 6 months," and then put it to the side. It like gets to me and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have to do this right now for them." And then I just like go crazy. It's like serious
Mhm.
anxiety.
I
So
totally understand.
yes, I finally have gotten on some anti-anxiety meds, which I was like avoiding at all costs. And now I'm like, why did I do that? Like, I could have been okay for so much longer, but I tried everything natural that I could. But it is helping me. Probably should get on a higher dose. But it's definitely helped me. And I just like really struggle with balancing work life, mom life, and just like me time. I
Mhm.
totally like gave up on myself and I was like giving my all to my brides and then my kids. And then when I was working, I felt so guilty for not being with my kids. And when I was with the kids, I could not stop thinking about my to-do list. This January is when I decided to do my podcast because I was like, this is going to be therapeutic for me just to be able to talk and meet other people and hear their stories, not feel alone, but I can be vulnerable for other people so they can relate to me, or people who aren't moms yet, just I don't want to scare them, but just so they know what to expect and be prepared for it. Um, so my me time is things like go to pelvic floor therapy or go to dinner with my friends. Like that was something I struggled with leaving the kids. I like felt so guilty doing that and like I just would stress out. When they're babies, like it's kind of more understandable. So now
Mhm.
that they're a little older, like it's easier for me to do that. But I'm just like trying to do things like for me like that. So what have you done to help balance your life?
Yeah, that is a tricky question. But what I always like to say is that I like to crush the idea of the word balance,
Okay.
because the term balance almost like automatically sets you up for failure, because
Okay.
nothing will ever be perfectly balanced,
That's
right?
true.
If one side is balanced, then the other side is slightly off. And I don't know if you can see with my hands, but I'm doing like a
Yes.
scale. And so what I always recommend people to do is strive for effectiveness. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is when you are working, be as effective as you can when you're doing your job. And
Right.
then when you are home with the children, be as effective as you can when you're being a parent or a caregiver. You never have to strive for perfection or
Right.
perfect balance, because you're never going to hit perfection. You're
No.
never going to hit perfect balance, but you can be effective. And I recently had interviewed a woman who works very closely with Tina Fey, the comedian.
Okay.
And we were chatting about Tina, and this woman, Meredith, said to me, the one thing I love about Tina, well, there's a lot of things she loves about Tina, but one in particular that she really
Right.
loves about Tina is that Tina is all in at whatever it is she's doing at that point. So
Right.
when she is a mom, she is all in at being a mom. And when she is working on a show, she is all in at working at that show.
Right.
And so I think that really does go back to what I was saying about the effectiveness part. And so that's my wisdom and my 2 cents about that. But for me personally, what do I do? Gosh, I struggle with it as well, because, being a content creator, I work from home.
Mhm.
And so it's very easy to have work flow into home and flow into that.
Yes.
It's different with you, obviously, like as a wedding videographer, like you're going to the venues, you are
Yeah.
shooting at the venues, right? So you do have to leave for that. But then when you come home, I'm sure you're going to edit those videos at home,
Exactly.
I would assume,
Exactly.
right? And so it really is very hard for a work at home parent to take off that work hat and then put on that parent hat, because it really just, I mean, at least even in my life, it all sort of flows together. But
Yeah.
I do make a conscious effort, if my son is at school until, let's say, 2:30, 3 o'clock, that I try very hard to be done with work at
Right.
3 o'clock. And then when he's home, then I'm just home with him. It doesn't always work out perfectly like that, but I really go out of my way to keep my work time during his school time or camp or whatever.
Yes, I just had a child discipline counselor, I guess you would say, come on,
Mhm.
and actually a mother of a past bride, which is so funny. But
That's funny.
she kind of said the same thing you did. She was like, "Don't say the word balance." So of course I already forgot that she said that, but she said that she says harmony. Because like
Yes.
you said, it's never going to be perfect, and so I have been like trying to be mindful, like when I'm with them, like take it all in, like be the mom with them. And then when I'm sitting here, do this. The only time it is hard is when they're in here playing, because this is obviously their
Mhm.
playroom and my desk. It is hard because I'll have both the, mom and working hats on at the same time. So that is hard. Everything you just said is perfect. And like what I'm trying to like focus on doing instead of just having anxiety the whole time I'm working and the whole time I'm with them. It's just
Yep.
not good for you.
No, it's really not. It's so overwhelming when you constantly have that to-do list going on in the back of your head when you're sitting on the floor playing
Yes.
dolls.
Exactly. Yes. And I think that's my thing. I get like really overwhelmed easily. And I never did before. Like I was someone like I always needed something to do like every day. Like I just never said no to anything. And then when the kids were here, I wanted to be, the best mom ever. And oh my gosh, I like got so overwhelmed with all the stuff that I wanted to do with work and a business and then being the best mom you can be. So I saw a therapist. She helped me so much and like helped me realize that I am getting overwhelmed and I need to slow down and like I need to take in those moments with them and then like literally everything you just said. And then when you're working, focus on working.
Don't worry, they're still so young too. So at
I
this
know.
point that, you have a lot of years ahead of you to spend time together.
Yes, definitely. And my daughter, she starts school in August. And so they never like went to daycare or anything because in my head, I was like, I'm home anyway, like I can save money. And of course, I'm like, oh boy, that probably would have helped me a lot because I could have worked while they were gone. But she starts school in August and my mom and my mother-in-law, which I'm blessed that they live in the same city, they're going to have a day every week with my son. And so then I can like have, those 4 to 5 hours of just editing. So then when they come home, I can just focus on them. So that'll be really nice. But that is another thing that, I don't know if your family like lives where you are, but that is so, I could not imagine not having my family or my husband's family like in the same city. That has got to be so hard.
It's challenging. I could speak to that because although we are relatively local, we don't and we didn't get a lot of help because when my son was young, we were living in New York City and my mom and my in-laws didn't really like coming into the city because it's a little
Really?
hard coming in from the suburbs. They thought it was hard coming in from the suburbs. And so, yeah, we didn't have that much help. So we had to, hire babysitters and stuff like that, unfortunately. And then even once we moved out of the city into the suburbs, we see them, from time to time, but it's not that, helpful.
No, no, it's not. I can't imagine. Oh my gosh. And then I'm like, so I live in Memphis. I mean, Memphis is like a really small world. I'm sure everyone says that about their city, but like everyone knows everyone here. I swear, like there's connections. Every wedding I go to, I know somebody. It's crazy. I don't really want to live here forever. It's just a bit scary. And I know my parents agree. Hopefully my husband's parents agree and they can get out of here too. But whenever we do move somewhere else, like that's going to be challenging for me because I'm not going to have them to help. And I'm like, have not ever had a babysitter except for my mom, his mom, and my sister. So that's going to be challenging for me to trust somebody, but I'm sure I'll be okay. If everyone else can do it, I can do it.
Right. When I was a kid, I never had a babysitter either because I always had my grandparents on both sides. So I understand. So it was sort of weird for me to then start hiring babysitters when I myself never had a babysitter. I acted as a babysitter a lot. I babysat all through my teens and 20s and stuff like that. But yeah, I never had one myself.
All right. So what made you want to be a mom?
Oh gosh, I wanted to be a mom, my whole life. And then, I worked at Nickelodeon. And so obviously I've always loved children. I always loved babysitting, I said. And so I've always spent a lot of time with kids, taking care of kids. And so I just felt like it was just a very natural, thing to progress into my life like that. Yeah. Unfortunately, my husband and I we had a hard time having our son. Like I had miscarriages and then unexplained infertility after that. Luckily, God bless him, we had Jack and he was healthy and we never looked back. That was it. And then we were so happy about having him that we never tried again because I didn't want to rock the boat or go experience any of the other stuff that we unfortunately had beforehand.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
So my best friend, she's actually going to come on later and we're going to like kind of have a few episodes and follow her journey of like her fertility journey. She's having some struggles right now and they're about to do IUI.
We did that too.
Oh, you did that?
We actually, that's how we conceived Jack. We did it on the 4th attempt. It was like technically like the last attempt before you would have to do something else. And it worked.
That's amazing. That is awesome. What is that process like?
You go into the doctor's office and you lay down as if you were, I don't know, getting a pap smear or something. And then they put something up there and then you sit there for like 15 minutes and they're like, okay, you can go. And then that was it.
Okay. So it's literally like TV shows. That's so funny.
Yeah, it was super easy peasy. I mean, for the IUI, I'm saying, yeah.
Yes. So I guess if, that isn't successful with her, I probably try IVF. I think that's the next step with that.
That would have been the next step for us. Luckily, we didn't have to go that route. And, Jack worked. And so, that would have been our next step too.
Yeah. When I got pregnant, I was like the only one of my friends who had a baby. I had some brides and stuff who were, acquaintances that had kids, but none of my like real friends had kids. So I was like totally alone on this journey. I had my parents and stuff, but like you have that support, but you still feel alone. Like even when you have like that kind of support. My best friend, she's 37 and she's pregnant with her first baby.
Good for her.
Yes. I'm so excited for her. We were worried, we didn't know if she would be able to or how that journey would look like for her. But it happened and we're so happy and just praying for a successful and healthy delivery and pregnancy and all that. It is just crazy the different kind of journeys of motherhood there is. And then the journeys of trying to grow your family. And that's another reason why I wanted to do this podcast, because although like I'm not having fertility problems right now, I want other people to know like you're not alone in this. Women who want to be a mom, I want them to hear this. And if they ever experience anything like this, not to feel crazy, anything with postpartum or pregnancy, anything at all. But anyway, sorry, I'm like rambling off.
Yeah, no, but that was so beautifully said. I really loved how you said that because that has always been my mission as well. And so, I agree. It's important to talk about these things because 10 years ago, actually it was longer, like 12 years ago when I was going through the miscarriages and stuff like that, no one was really talking about it. The
Yeah.
people weren't talking about that on Facebook. They weren't talking about it on Instagram, obviously. And so we were very alone. We didn't tell any friends. We didn't tell any family. We told some friends knew. But for the most part, we were really very isolated in our experience. And only, in hindsight did I realize, gosh, like this has happened to so many people, like just everything, but whether it's infertility, miscarriage, postpartum anxiety, all of those things, like it happens to so many people and we're not alone, even though when we think that we may be the only one experiencing it, that's not necessarily true.
Exactly. My mom, who is like my best friend, which I'm so lucky and thankful to have her. She experienced, a few miscarriages before she had me. I'm the oldest, and then she had my little brother, and then she ended up having a stillborn, and I think he was 19 weeks. And I know, I will never forget that. I was young, but I will never forget. I don't know if my brother remembers. I should probably ask him, but I remember him and I like standing in our kitchen and like looking at my mom, like kind of hovered over the sink, like crying because she's trying to like, be strong for us. And I believe that like I want my kids to like see all emotions and like know it's okay to like to cry and like to feel sad and stuff, but I don't want them to see me like, just breaking down, so but so we saw her and we were like, let's go paint her a picture or something. Like we were so young. I think my brother was like 4 or maybe even younger. I don't know, but we went and like painted her pictures and brought it to her. And I just will never forget that pain that she had. I had no idea really what was going on, or obviously you don't really know until you're a mom, I feel like, or if you've gone through something like that. But she went through that, and she had a group of women and actually parents, like moms and dads, who had gone through the same thing. And she said that that's what she looked forward to, like every week, them meeting and telling their story and just not feeling alone in this because, they didn't know what happened. They don't, I feel like a lot of stillborns, you don't, there's no explanation for it. And, she told me that they could have done an autopsy on him, but it would have taken so long and they would have had him for so long and they wouldn't have been able to have a funeral for him, which we did. And to be able to, heal and just, you don't fully heal ever, but to just kind of start that process. So not being alone, like feeling not alone is so huge in every single aspect of, motherhood, but life too. I know a lot of people who feel this way. I had so much anxiety before I got pregnant, before I even met my husband about being able to get pregnant. I'm not sure why. I think I was just so nervous about it. And because I knew that happened to my mom and, she had a lot of miscarriages. And when me and my husband did get together, obviously we know how a baby's made. So that was totally our fault. But we did have 2 miscarriages before. And the first one, I didn't really know if it was. I was like, I don't really know. And I didn't want to get attached. So I just kind of let it go. And after you have a miscarriage, I think you can get pregnant very quickly, right? And so I did again. And then I had a really, really rough miscarriage. It was just very traumatic on me. It was actually on Christmas Eve. And I had so much stress with weddings, and I do it to myself. I had a goal to finish, a certain amount of weddings before Christmas to, make some people happy. And I was not meeting that goal, and I didn't know I was pregnant. And then all of a sudden, it's like severe pain. It's like labor, honestly, like the contractions and stuff. And, then I go to the bathroom and it was very, very traumatic. And so I'm lucky. My OB is one of my good friends. So, I'm calling her and I'm like, what is going on? And I send her pictures and she's like, you need to come in tomorrow, or I guess the day after Christmas or whatever. And so went in and I did lose that baby. And so me and my husband made a decision, like, we're not ready to be parents and you've now gone through this twice. Let's, get some birth control. So I made an appointment to get an IUD. And when I went in for that appointment, I was pregnant.
No way.
Yes.
You're joking.
No. So we were like, okay, God really wants us to be pregnant. Obviously we know how to make a baby, we know that.
Yeah, but still.
But it happened. And now my daughter's here, but I just, I've never shared that with anybody. I plan to, and I'm glad I got to do it with you. But a lot of people go through this, and it's traumatic, and you hold it probably the rest of your life. But, the fact that I've been able to share it, and I'm very pro therapy, went to therapy. I feel good about it. And I feel like, I'm a very spiritual person too. Like I feel like God has a plan, and that was a part of his plan, and I might not ever understand why, but maybe one day,
I'll
but
tell you why it is, because now that you're able to help other people, and that was part of
yeah,
the mission.
there you
And
go.
and I have one of my best friends, and she had said to me one day, this was like years after my miscarriages, and I started my account, and she was like, Tara, that's why you went through that, so that
Yeah.
you can help other people by telling your story and
Yep.
starting your account and doing all of those things. And I was like, you're right, Goldie. Her name's Goldie. I was like, you're right, Goldie. And that was true. And that's the thing. And so that is what happened to you.
Yes. And with your account, like it's hilarious. I share it so many times because, like I'm pretty vulnerable, on my Instagram, or I post, a lot of wedding stuff, and I take a lot of newborn pictures, and I know that can be triggering for some people.
Mm.
Um, and so, I post a lot of, emotional, vulnerable things, but I want to keep it light too. Like I'm a really goofy person, and like your posts just crack me up. So I share that a lot. I wonder, I wish I knew like how I found you. I'm sure
Right.
someone shared it on their story or something, but it's just so funny. Do you like make up all this stuff yourself?
Some stuff I do, yes. And then other stuff I share from friends of mine. I'm a firm believer of that the tide rises all ships. And so
Yeah.
I love to share talented people and work with talented people.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Do you have a TikTok and all that?
You know, funny thing. So I do have a TikTok account. I don't really put stuff on it so much. Like occasionally I do, but
Yeah.
I am not a TikTok mom. I'm firmly
Me
an
neither.
Instagram mom.
Me too. I don't even have a TikTok. I'm like, it stresses me out just to have to make my post for Instagram. I can
Yeah.
do it another one. Like, no.
Yeah, I just take the same stuff and I put it over there. Like if I
Yeah.
make a reel for Insta, then I put it
Yes.
over on TikTok. That's about it. But yeah, I could do, I just don't have the bandwidth.
I know. Me neither. Me neither. I don't even have that for reels. And I know I could make, like, I'm a videographer. I could make really good reels, and like, my kids are crazy right now. I could have really good stuff, but I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like maybe if I find time one day,
That's
I
how
could.
I feel. That's exactly how I feel. It's like I know what I should be doing, making
Right.
reels and stuff like that, but like I just don't want to do
I
it.
know. Me neither. They're like, this is gonna boost your Instagram following. I'm like, oh, I just don't really care. Like,
Yes, me
like,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care to do it.
No,
I
I'm
know what
like,
I should do, but I'm
yeah,
just not going to do it.
no. And that's the thing with Instagram. Like, I have like I'm like I don't know, 80 followers away from 4,000 or something, which is
That's awesome.
not that much, but
You should
like,
celebrate that though.
yeah.
Celebrate
Oh,
that.
I will. But like, I feel like my followers like are a lot of my clients, like brides and stuff, and then their family and their friends. And so I feel like with what I do, I make a difference in like those people's lives. So one day, like if it gets bigger, sure, that would be great. But I'm not gonna like stress myself out even more to make reels and to do all this stuff, TikToks,
Mm-hmm.
just for that. Like that's not what I'm about. You know?
I agree 100%. Keep spreading your message, keep meeting with women. I mean, that's really where it's at.
Yes, exactly. Sash, I gotta ask you, what did you do at Nickelodeon?
I worked in digital media. Funny story.
Okay.
There was a time where I was Dora the Explorer on Facebook. And my mom used to run around and tell people like, oh, my daughter's Dora the Explorer. And I was like, Mom, on Facebook, like on Facebook, not like actually Dora on the television
Yeah.
show. So yes, I used to do stuff for Nick Jr. and Nick at Night.
That is so cool. What got you into that?
I used to be I started out there as the assistant to the head of digital in Nickelodeon. And
Okay.
so he oversaw like anything that was digital was underneath him. And I worked under him for several years. And then I was like, you know what? I want to like branch out and not, be his assistant anymore. And so then I started working for the digital marketing team, and digital social at the time was sitting underneath digital marketing.
Right.
And that's how it came out. And
That is
again,
so fun.
if you keep in mind, like this was, and I'm not joking, this was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was 2012. So it was a long time.
Yeah, that is so fun. Oh my gosh. I'm a huge Nickelodeon girl. I love Nickelodeon. Like I
Good.
never watched Cartoon Network or Disney. Like what I mean, I watched Disney movies, but the TV channels, they weren't my thing. I'm a Nickelodeon girl. So my
I
kids
love
are
it.
watching it right now because
I
my
love it.
dad's
I love
here.
it.
My dad's here and he's still working, so he probably has meetings and stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna put Nickelodeon on for you. But
That
anyway,
was a good
love it.
idea. That was
That's
a good
so
idea. I loved Nickelodeon. It was a phenomenal company to work for. We were part of it's part of Viacom. And so also MTV Networks is in the same
okay.
building. Some offices of Comedy Central was in the same building, Paramount, like CBS. It was very cool.
So
So
you probably met so many cool people too.
I did. I met a lot of people. It was cool. One time, the rapper Nelly, he
Oh
was
yeah.
out like years ago. One time he was just like sitting in the lobby on his phone, like all by himself. And I thought like, God, how random, and it was just random. But like if years ago, if you ever watched Carson Daly do like the TRL
Mhm.
show, that's the building that I worked in.
That is so cool. Oh
Yeah,
my
it was
gosh,
cool.
that is so cool.
Yeah, it was
Have you ever
cool.
met Chris Parnell?
No, but that would be a good one.
Yeah, so I'm so lucky. His sister, so he's adopted and his sister's adopted as well,
Mhm.
but she's my neighbor or
Oh
like
my God, that's
my parents'
crazy.
neighbor. So I've got to meet him a million times. And he even brought Will Ferrell to her house one time. Yes, I didn't get to meet him, but my parents did. And it was pretty funny. They were like, my dad's a huge jokester. I mean, the goofiest man you're ever gonna meet in your life. So he was like trying to, joke with him, and he was like, he was very serious. I was like, what?
Really?
Yeah, I was like, Will Ferrell?
Oh,
I was like, maybe he had a
that
bad day.
yeah, maybe he just had like an off day.
Yeah,
Gosh, that's so funny.
I know. But Chris Parnell's hilarious. He was like,
Yeah, he's so funny.
oh, he's so funny. And he's a dad. But he's just awesome. But I remember in high school, he like came over one day and I was doing theater. I had to like choose between theater and soccer. And I ended up choosing soccer. But he was like, do you have your acting license or whatever? And I was like, I do, which I was joking with him. I was like,
Hmm.
I do. He was like, which one do you have? I was like, I have number one. He was like, that's amazing. We need to talk. And I was like, I'm kidding. I don't. I was like, oh my God. I like got him to believe me. I was like, I should have just kept rolling with it.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing. That is hilarious.
Yeah,
I
so
love
funny.
that.
I've been pretty lucky I mean, Memphis is a small world, I'm telling you. And there's a lot of celebrities here, music, athletes, stuff like that. So I've been pretty lucky to get to meet cool people too. But Nickelodeon, I'm very jealous. That is so
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We got to meet some pretty cool people.
I know. Well, tell people about your podcast because I'm excited that I finally got to listen to a whole one. So I'm definitely going to be listening in. I got my notifications on when you have a new episode
Oh,
out.
that makes me so happy. Thank you. So
Yes.
yeah, I recently launched the Modern Mom style box. Oh my God, the Modern Mom Probs podcast. And it's available wherever you listen to podcasts. So,
Yeah.
Apple, Spotify, I don't know, Google, Audible, wherever. And each week we talk to a different guest, and sometimes it's an expert, sometimes it's like a celebrity. We always break down one modern mom problem at a time.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I love that. I love that. Next week I have my child discipline one on. So hopefully you can get
Oh,
that because that is
yeah.
something that like I'm so interested in because there's no such thing as perfect mom or a
Hmm.
perfect parent, and there's no
Hmm.
rule book to be the perfect parent. So just hearing stories or hearing like good advice, like I love that. So if you ever get one of those on, like I'll be very excited.
Funny that you say that. Actually, I am going to be because I work with the American Academy of Pediatrics, and they recently
Oh,
sent me a book from an author, and that was what the book is about positive discipline. So
yes.
yes, stay
Oh,
tuned.
yay. Okay. I'll be excited about that.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. Like when you even responded to my email, I was like, oh my God, yeah, I'm so excited because I just want to get every type of mom out here on this thing. And so okay, you said everything about your podcast, your
Mhm.
book. Is
Yes, it's
that on
called Modern Mom Probs, a survival guide for 21st century mothers. It's available wherever books are sold online. So
Okay.
Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target, Amazon.com, all those.
Okay, perfect. I will put that link on here and I'll be getting
Oh, you're
my
the best.
copy. But thank you
Excellent.
so much. Maybe one day we can do this again and talk about another modern mom prob. We talked about a lot this time.
Absolutely. We covered a lot of different things,
Yes,
but
we
thank
did.
you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
And you gotta hug the ones who bring us joy and love. It's the middle with the moms and it's your day. I said now this one's for the mothers. You gotta love the mothers. And you gotta hug the ones who bring us joy and love. It's the middle with the moms and it's your day.